everybody, it's Miss Harden. So today we are doing Powers of 10 Part 2, Part Dos, okay? So please write down at the top of your page, Powers of 10 Part 2, okay? Very necessary so we can keep your thoughts and everything straight and on paper, all right? Now, your vocabulary today is the same as yesterday, so you do not have to write it down if you don't want to. It is the same. We are still talking about powers of 10. Remember, we have 10 as our base number, and then we're going to have some different numbers as our exponents. Remember, the exponent tells you how many times you're going to multiply that number times itself. So 10 to the second power really is 10 times 10, which equals 100, right? Because the 2 tells you how many zeros you're going to have at the end, okay? And it tells you you're going to multiply that number times itself. You have it twice, okay? All right. So let's get this party started. Today, this is what we're going to be doing. This is part 2, okay? So we are going to be multiplying whole numbers. We're going to be multiplying whole numbers by powers of 10. You do need to write that down underneath your notes. Multiplying whole numbers by powers of 10. Okay? Go ahead and write that down. Multiplying whole numbers by powers of 10. And you're like, Miss Harden, what does that mean? Well, let's start with some easy stuff first, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and make this little chart, okay? Let's do 8 times 1. What's that equal? Yep, 8. What's 8 times 2? 8 times 2. Hold on, let me make this neater. Oh, not 8 times 2. Sorry. 8 times 1 is 8, right? 8. What's 8 times 10? Oh, that's 80. What's 8 times 100? What's that equal? 800. What's 8 times 1,000? You got it. That is 8,000. Now, here's my first question. But before we answer this first question, please write that down. Very important that you write that down. Okay. What do you notice here? So write this question out. What do you notice? What do you notice here? What do you notice? Well, I notice in my answer that I add a 0 each time. Do you see that? 8, then I add a 0. So I have 80. Now then I have 80, then I add a 0. Then I have 800, then I add a 0, right? Well, look what I did when the factors here. So factor 1 is 8, factor 2 is here. So each time I went down on the chart, I added a 0. 2 zeros, 3 zeros. Okay, you should also notice that how many ever zeros I have over here equals how many zeros I have over here. So look, 8 times 10, 1 0, 1 0. 8 times 100, 2 zeros, 2 zeros. 8 times 1,000, 3 zeros, 3 zeros. Okay, so here's what we're going to write for what do you notice. We're going to have 1 0 is added each time when we do our problem, okay? The number of zeros in the factors is the same number of zeros in the product, which is the answer. Okay? So the number of zeros we have in the factor is the same the number of zeros we have in the product. Okay? Go ahead and write that down for me. You can pause the video right here if you would like to write that down. Good idea. Okay, so for the second part, I want you to look at this. I want you to write down 8 times 10 to the first power. You see that okay? 8 times 10 to the first power. You're like, ooh, Ms. Harden, what's 10 to the first power? That just means it has 1 0. So 8, that really is 8 times 10. Well, guys, what's 8 times 10? 80. All right, let's do 8 times 10 to the second power. What's the second power? That tells you that it has 2 zeros because the exponent tells you have 2 zeros. So it's really 8 times 100, which makes our answer 800. Okay? Let's do 8 times 10 to the third power. The 3 tells you how many zeros it's going to have. So that really means 8 times, that looks like a plus, doesn't it? 8 times 1, 2, 3, 1,000, which makes it 8,000. Let's do one more. Let's do 8 times 10 to the fourth power. How many zeros are going to be here with 10 to the fourth power? It's going to be 4. Okay. So 8 times 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 10,000. So 8 times 10,000 is 80,000. Okay. Look at this for a second. The exponent tells you how many zeros are in your answer. Look at this. 1 0 here. But the number you start with has got to be the number in the beginning, okay? Because it's really 8 times 1 with that many zeros. So this is 8 times 1 with 2 zeros. Well, 8 times 1 is 8 with 2 zeros. Easy. This is 8 times 1 with 3 zeros. So 8 times 1 is 8 with 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 8,000. Easy, right? This is 8 times 1 with 4 zeros. So that's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 80,000. Pretty simple stuff, huh? It looks hard. This looks like high school stuff, middle school and high school stuff, but it's really easy, okay? So what patterns do you notice? Okay, so what do we notice here? Well, we notice the number of the exponent tells you how many zeros if I could spell right, sorry, let me erase this. How many zeros you will have in your product. Remember, a product is just your answer of a multiplication problem. Okay? Well, can you guys see that? Okay. So guys, let's make sure we write that down. We're going to do a few examples when you are finished writing that down, okay? So go ahead and pause. Pause here and write that down. All right, let's do some examples. All right, what if I had 23 times 100? Simple, right? Well, it's 23 with how many zeros at the end? 2. 23 with 2 zeros. 2,300. Because really it's taking 23 times 1 first, and then just putting your 2 decimals at the, or 2 zeros at the end. Easy, right? Okay, let's do this one. 12 times 10 to the second power. Looks hard. It's not. Very easy. Guys, what's 12 times 1? 12 times 1 is 12. The exponent tells you how many zeros are going to be in your answer. So how many zeros are going to be in your answer? 2. 2 zeros. Okay? So it's 1,200. It's 12 with 2 zeros. Okay? So here are going to be your next step problems. So make sure those examples are written down. Those will help you. Okay? So here are your next steps problems. Next steps. Okay? These are on your own. On your own. Okay, your first one is going to be 9 times 10 to the 4th power. Next one is 18 times 10 to the 3rd power. And number 3, 316 times 10. That's it. Oh, can you see that okay? Those are your next steps. 9 times 10 to the 4th power. Number 2 is 18 times 10 to the 3rd power. And number 3, 316 times 10. Go ahead and answer those and then put your answers in your assignment and you'll be good to go. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.